Hey guys, what's up? I just got something in the mail and I'm really excited about it. I've been wanting to make a video about this thing for a long time. So let's pull it out and have a look. This is an old camera and an old lens. It's a Zenit. I don't have the model on the front. That's the brand of the camera body, and the lens is a Helios 44mm. It's a 58mm f2, and they are really cool. So what I really like is that this is a cheap lens that can fit on almost any camera, and it's got a really interesting character to it. So let's get it cleaned up and attach it to this. Looking through the aperture, I can definitely see that there are some spots on the inside, but you know, it's an old lens and I didn't pay very much for it, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's still in pretty good condition. The aperture ring is nice and clicky. It turns fairly easily, and that's pretty important because it's an f2 lens. It means it's going to have a very shallow depth of field, but that means that we'll need a little extra control with the focus. So I was talking about putting it on. This is my A7 III. Obviously the M42, the Pentax M42 screw mount here is not compatible directly with full frame E-mount, but we have a secret weapon. These things are really cheap. It's just a dumb piece of metal that has the E-mount lens on one side and then the M42 screw mount on the other. Easy as that. Aperture opens and closes really nicely, and let's take it out and take a few shots. So the reason I was excited to get that package is that this lens and that body cost me $95 delivered. That's awesome. We spend so much money, thousands of dollars on these on these expensive bodies. I think that can be really off-putting to newcomers to the hobby, and it can be really disheartening if you can't afford the latest and greatest stuff. Honestly, this is a fantastic lens, not because it's perfect. It definitely isn't. You know, like even this relatively cheap plastic Sony 50mm is going to be sharper and faster and have better contrast, but that's not the point. Like for, you know, 50 US for one of these, and you can attach it to whatever camera, you actually have a really good lens. One of the things that excites me most about this lens is that it's imperfect. It's got this design, this distortion that lends itself to this swirly bokeh that you can see around me. It's not perfect. these days we look for lenses that can give us focus and sharpness and minimize distortion all the way edge to edge, and that's cool. Your gear should get out of the way of the image that you make, but sometimes it's good to embrace imperfections. And maybe that's like a romantic in me, but I think that it's really cool that you can get an almost signature look by paying very little money. This is something that would be really hard to replicate in post, but you get it pretty much for free. So how would I use this lens? Probably not for landscapes. It's 58mm, which is a good portrait length. Overall, you're going to get nice proportions, especially if you keep your subject in the middle and you stay away from the distortions around the edge. And at f2, it's going to give you a nice shallow depth of field, and that's where you get the really interesting bokeh on the edges. I'm not much of a portrait photographer myself, but I really like it. Some things that other people use it for, and pretty much what I like to use it for, is like little botanicals, I guess, and not really macro, you're not getting super up close. But if you have like a well-structured background, like some grass or something like that, or some leaves, then you get some really nice bokeh. What I'm trying to say is that you don't need expensive gear to make interesting and unique photos. You can only really get this look with this particular Helios 44mm lens. You can attach it to almost any camera. It doesn't have to be an expensive one, and you will get an interesting photo. Anyway, that's all I've got for this video. I'm going to head back home. Let me know what you think. Do you use vintage lenses or older camera gear like that? Do you like it? Is this something that you think you get into? Leave me a comment down below. Subscribe if you feel like it, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.